I hope you had a great start to the school year. I was actually able to visit a lot of buildings at the beginning of the year and get into a lot of classrooms, and I was so pleased with what I saw. Especially with the schools that had the major transition with students like Kenmore Garfield. It looked like you all did a beautiful job transitioning the students together, and Innis and Kent, same thing. Great launch there. And then the whole North Hill, really, with Harris and Findlay and Forest Hill, the whole North Hill with the closure of Bettis, receiving all the students. I was going out to Harris those first few days and watching all the drop-off of students, and the teachers, you did a beautiful job getting all the students out and hand them off to the parents. I was just really pleased. Took a few days to get everything settled in, but just as every single year, everyone was able to do that, so thank you very much. So let me kind of set up what I'm going to talk to you about today. If you remember back on Instructional Improvement Day, I shared with you in my opening video that I was proposing some changes to our district curriculum-based assessments, the assessments that automatically get labeled as required as part of our curriculum adoptions. And then those same assessments then come in and you use that assessment data in our PLC assessments. I told you that we were going to spend the first 3 weeks of school having open and transparent feedback sessions for teachers and principals to weigh in on the proposed changes. And then if for some reason you missed that opening video, you can find it on my hub page if you want to go back and listen to that to explain kind of a deeper rationale as to why we were looking at some of the changes. But in that video, I promised you more information about the district assessments by the end of September, and that's what I'm going to kind of roll out today along with my staff. So first, let me review why I wanted to see the changes in these district curriculum-based assessments. First of all, the feedback I was receiving from teachers and my own curriculum staff is that the frequency of the assessments was too much. In some grades, the assessments, the curriculum-based assessments that you bring into the PLCs, those were happening every 3 to 4 weeks in some grades and some subjects, which is just way too fast to work into a whole 5-step process in that kind of frequency. So what we did last year, in some grades, particularly in literacy, we eliminated some of the pre-assessments, and that also worked well. And so I also wanted to look at, can we do that in a broader way, particularly in literacy, where could we eliminate the need to do a separate pre-assessment? So those two things, looking at the pre-assessments and then also looking at the frequency of the curriculum-based measures. So ultimately my goal was, let's reduce the frequency and the number of the curriculum-based assessments that we use in our PLCs, primarily to give more time between step 1 and step 5 to enable you to spend more time sharing best practices rather than analyzing data. Let me say that again. Ultimately, what I want is to have the majority of the time in PLCs spent on sharing strategies with each other to address the students' strengths and weaknesses that you're seeing, and spreading out the PLC-based assessments to every 7 to 9 weeks, which should free up that time in the middle so that you can actually talk about the practice and sharing strategies. That's what PLCs are all about. So our learning specialists work through the summer with some of the instructional coaches and some of the lead teacher team members on their literacy and math district pyramid teams to propose changes to the PLC assessments. Because we're required by the state to do this 5-step process, but as you know, we always acronize things, and we have always done that to kind of anchor our PLC assessments. What we've decided to do, instead of some random assessments that the state thinks are good ideas to put in the 5-step process, we've really chosen to do more curriculum-based assessments so that when you're going through your instruction, the natural progression of what you would normally be teaching and assessing, you can use those same assessments for the 5-step process. I wanted to make sure that any changes that I brought forth, that we had lots of teacher and principal feedback. So we set up teacher and principal feedback sessions over these past few weeks to make sure that the changes made sense. I also told you in the video that you didn't need to do any district-required PLC pre-assessments that you typically would have done in years past during the month of September. I wanted to hold off on any assessments, except obviously we still have to do OTES, MAP and DAP for your evaluations. But I wanted to hold off on all other pre-assessments until you had a chance to provide feedback. So here's what's happened. The week of September 4th, we had the math and literacy pyramid teams, which are our district kind of steering teams, which have both teacher and principal representatives. We had them review the proposal for the changes for the PLC kind of based assessments that come from your curriculum. Then we also had principals come in with the instructional coaches. They looked at the assessments and provided input. And we've made adjustments after each one of those sessions to the draft list. Then we had the open sessions for every single content area for any teacher in the district to come in and also review the changes, and you could also review the actual assessments. You could look question by question, and you could point out what questions you don't like on the assessments if you wanted to. And I mentioned those in the instructional improvement video at the beginning of the year. I actually told you and listed the exact dates so that really with the hope that anybody in the district who wants to come in and offer that feedback can come in. So based on everyone's feedback, I'm ready to have my staff share the PLC assessment plan that is straight out of the curriculum measures that you all have in the curriculum that you all use every day, that you bring in that assessment data into the PLCs. I'm ready to share that with you today. The plan will be embedded into the teaching timelines just as usual to help clarify kind of the flow of that assessment process. And the learning specialists are updating those teaching timelines as we speak. Again, I'm going to say this one more time. The ultimate goal was to streamline the assessments and get everyone on kind of a quarterly type process so that you only have to do those bigger 5-step kind of assessments every 9 weeks instead of after every unit as we've done in the past in most of our grades and subjects. And I'm happy to say we actually accomplished that goal. I love the feedback that you gave me. We adjusted some things. We took a few pre-assessments away based on that feedback. So what's going to happen today? You're going to hear from your learning specialist for content-specific changes. So each learning specialist is going to explain their changes. They're going to talk about the rationale for their changes specific to their content area, the resources to support you in these changes, and also they're going to kind of show the connections to the PLCs. Number one, I appreciate the contributions. I appreciate the feedback that you provided. And always, I appreciate the dedication that all of you show to the students and your work towards advancing your teaching practice. Remember to reach out to me at any time with any questions or other feedback. Thanks.
The assessment change for K through 5 for mathematics is that the 5-step process pre- and post-assessments for grades 3, 4, and 5 are administered online through Performance Plus OLA. I'd like to share the rationale for this change. Our Envision Math adoption occurred in 2011. In February, ODE adopted the revised 2017 learning standards for mathematics. Knowing this, it was critical for us to review the impact on our teaching and assessment. Teacher teams were convened to assure we were using available resources to best inform our practice and to progress monitor student mastery of the revised standards. As a result, new assessments were created that are standards-based, incorporate the rigor of OSTs, and take into account the OST blueprints. Administering these assessments in Performance Plus OLA affords students opportunities to encounter items with the format of Choose All, open-ended response, and multiple correct answers. Additionally, data reports can be generated at the district level, freeing up PLC time to plan for instruction. Common assessment data also informs differentiated professional development opportunities. There are resources to support the change. Linked within the teaching timelines are ODE standards documents and standards-based instructional resources. Released OST items are aligned to the teaching timeline content standards. Links are embedded within the timelines to allow for easy access when planning instruction. Using these items within our week-to-week instruction, focusing on both the math content and test item format, builds content understanding while increasing familiarity with OST-type test items and format. The assessments connect to your PLCs. Assessing through Performance Plus generates reports for use in the 5-step process. The data is aligned to the grade level standards and thereby provides us with informed progress monitoring of our students' mastery of these standards. Through the use of 8 to 12-week assessment cycles, with topic formative assessments within those cycles, increased PLC time can be devoted to planning for instructional strategies and activities in response to the data. In summary, for mathematics, the assessment change in grades K to 5 is the administration of grades 3 through 5 PLC pre- and post-assessments in Performance Plus OLA.
For elementary, there are 2 changes. The first change is teachers in grades K through 2 are now required to administer the online quarterly assessments like grades K to 5. The CSAs and unit tests are optional. The second change is grades K to 5 teachers will enter students' writing scores from the culminating writing assignment that you have been doing as part of the Writers Workshop curriculum into Performance Plus. These writing tasks are part of the Writers Workshop curriculum and designed to assess students' understanding of what was taught in the writing unit. Teachers will grade and enter students' writing scores in Performance Plus. The rationale for the changes to the K to 5 ELA assessments are teachers can access reading and writing data and analyze student results to help inform their instruction, monitor student progress, and plan instruction accordingly to maximize students' learning. These changes help move us in a positive direction by helping teachers monitor our students' progress toward grade level expectations for both reading and writing. There are a number of resources to support teachers with the assessment changes. The first resource is the testing window document. That lets teachers know when to administer and enter the extended response scores in Performance Plus. The second resource is the writing goals document. This lets teachers know which type of writing is being taught in each unit for each grade level and gives the instructional cycle for completing the culminating writing tasks. The third resource is the screencast that gives step-by-step directions for entering the writing scores in Performance Plus. Lastly are the OST resources that includes the blueprints and the state writing rubrics that teachers will utilize to score student writings. All of these resources can be found on the Hub. During PLCs, teachers in grades K to 5 can collaborate on scoring and expectations based on the curricular or state-developed rubric. Teachers will grade and enter students' writing scores in Performance Plus. Using the data, teachers can analyze student progress in both reading and writing and plan next steps to support students. In summary, for English language arts, the elementary changes are administering online quarterly assessments for K through 2 and entering writing scores for the culminating writing tasks into Performance Plus.
There are no assessment changes in elementary. The Ohio Department of Education is revising the science standards. Teachers will begin using the new standards in the 2018-19 school year. Due to the new adoptions for 4th grade this year and 5th grade the prior year, we are exploring new curriculum to identify possible PLC assessments. As teachers provide feedback this year, we will look to implement for the 2018-19 school year as a best practice. In conclusion, for science, no changes in elementary. We are looking to support PLC work further for next year.
For social studies, there is an assessment change. The state of Ohio has eliminated OSTs for social studies in grade 4 and grade 6. The law does require that Ohio school districts still teach and assess student proficiency in grades 4 and 6. As a result, this year, we will have all students take the 4th grade DAP in December. The rationale for this change supports meeting this new requirement. The 4th grade replacement OST, previously known as our 4th grade social studies post-DAP, meets the requirement from the state and offers teachers a consistent assessment that is created by APS teachers and helps measure the achievement of their students. This grade 4 replacement OST administration will be in December. There are resources available to support these assessment changes. On the Social Studies Hub, you will find many resources that can support social studies growth. Your pacing guide, teaching timelines, and the aligned assessment items are the best place to start. What about resources directly tied to your PLCs? Connecting to PLC work means finding high-value social studies assessment questions that support your school and PLC goals. On the Social Studies Hub, you will find high-yield items already made, such as graphic organizers and links to other resources that will allow you to quickly embed social studies goals into your PLC work, along with preparing students for the 4th grade social studies changes in assessment. In summary, for social studies, all students will take the 4th grade replacement OST, previously called the 4th grade post-DAP. Teachers will find direct connections to assessments that are like the DAP on the Social Studies Hub. Additionally, there are numerous assessments, graphic organizers, and other resources for grade 4 teachers to embed in their PLCs.
The assessment changes documents show content-specific assessment changes for 17-18 through a side-by-side comparison with assessments given in 16-17. The assessment changes documents can be found at the web addresses listed on this slide, or on the specific content area hub pages, or by scanning the QR code. Please feel free to contact your learning specialists, principal, coach, or OSI staff for assistance or for any questions you have about the assessment changes. Thank you and have a great year.